Beneath the apparent tranquility of Earth's wild landscapes, a silent war is being waged. In the tranquil wetlands, the water reflects the sky, concealing green-black shapes that await beneath the surface. On the forest floor, the leaf litter hides eyes that never blink. In the desert sands, mounds and depressions conceal deadly intentions. Wild nature belongs to the predators that stalk, nature's killer patient. Stillness is a weapon. Motionless, invisible, the predator measures the world. Every vibration, every subtle movement, every heartbeat of the prey is recorded, stored. They acted with explosive speed, from the stealthy attack of a swamp alligator to the delicate click of a preying mantis, from the hidden vault of a trapdoor spider, faced with the sudden attack of a death's head viper. Energy is conserved until the perfect moment arrives. Then, in an instant, violence erupts. These hunters do not chase, they wait. Surprise is their most lethal weapon. Across all continents and habitats, the quietest hunters are the deadliest. This is the hidden world of deadly predators that lurk in the shadows. We begin in the New World, North America, beneath the tranquil waters of the southern swamps. A shadow awaits. The surface gleams in the sunlight. Reflective reeds and cypress knees. Below, the American alligator, Alligator mississippiensis, floats almost invisibly. Only the faintest glimpse of its eyes and nostrils breaks the water's mirror. Green algae cling to its shell. Its body is ancient, a living relic of the Cretaceous period. Each scale is a masterpiece of design, tough, interlocking, and perfect for stealth. Its jaw, powerful beyond imagination, is ready. A pressure capable of crushing bones, yet perfectly controlled. The caiman waits. Minutes pass, then an hour. Its prey remains oblivious. A heron wades gracefully, its legs trembling in the shallow water, its gaze scanning for fish. The alligator moves imperceptibly, waving its tail just enough to maintain its balance. The water ripples around its snout. The heron takes another step closer. The attack is sudden, explosive. A flash of teeth and muscle. The heron thrashes, its wings scattering the light. A splash, then silence. The caiman dives, dragging its prey into the shadows. The scales rub against the mud. The heron's life ends, but the swamp thrives. Its body feeds fish, turtles, and carrion birds. Each attack is both a hunt and a contribution, a pulse of energy circulating through the ecosystem. Small fish scatter among the submerged roots. The frogs remain motionless. Even the slightest ripple could attract the attention of the alligator. It moves even closer, its nostrils barely above the water. Its eyes, golden with black flecks, watch every movement. A young deer approaches the bank. Its hooves tap softly on the damp mud. The water distorts its reflection. The caiman remains motionless. The deer bends down to drink. The caiman strikes. The water gushes out. The deer is agitated. The mud is churning. Dental clamp. The riverbank falls silent again, save for the echoes of splashing and struggling. The caiman thrashes about, dragging its prey into deeper water. However, not all hunts are successful. Birds take flight before the attack. Fish quickly scuttle away. Missed meals mean hours of patience. Energy must be conserved. In the midday heat, the caiman partially climbs a sun-warmed log. Its scales gleam, its tail sways lazily. The sun warms its dark body, aiding digestion. Its insides churn slowly. The hours pass like water over roots. It is a cold-blooded life, marked by the rhythms of sun and shadow. At nightfall, the swamp changes. Shadows lengthen across the swamp, stretching like dark fingers across the water's surface as the day's heat finally subsides. A deep roar rises from the reeds. The courtship has begun. A male caiman raises its armored head, its throat swelling as it bellows. The sound echoes through the swamp like distant thunder. The water around them trembles, forming slowly expanding circles. In the stillness, a female responds. Her response is softer. Her bellow is both a warning and an invitation. It signals to rival males to stay away. At the same time, he beckons any woman who is listening to come closer. Beneath the Spanish moss and cypress roots, strength is measured not only by combat but by resonance. how far a call can travel, how deeply it can stir the water. The marsh responds with ripples. Soon the task of nesting begins. The woman moves with surprising delicacy. She gathers reeds, grasses, and clods of mud, forming a mound high enough to hold back the rising tide. With her enormous mandibles, she delicately places each handful, shaping the domed nest. Inside this warm, composting chamber, she lays her eggs. Pale and fragile spheres remain hidden under layers of vegetation. The mound radiates heat, insulating the nest from the night's chill and prying eyes. Weeks pass. The mother waits nearby, vigilant and tireless. Inside the eggs, tiny caimans grow, curled up like miniature versions of the giants that guard them. Then, one damp morning, faint trills filtered through the mound. The sound is unmistakable. She hears them. She rears up, parts the top layer with her snout, and uncovers the nest with expert delicacy. The chicks emerge, their eyes shining and their plumage speckled with yellow bands. Their cries plead for help. She gently picks some up with her jaws. One by one she leads them to the shallows. Others scamper beside her, splashing with their tiny limbs as they follow her shadow into the world. Beneath the swamp's broad canopy, amidst dragonflies and drifting pollen, a new generation begins its journey. It's protected for now, but soon the young people will have to fend for themselves. During spring and summer, feeding intensifies. The warm months bring abundance, fish teeming in the canals, turtles basking in the sun within reach, birds venturing too close to the water. The caiman hunts tirelessly, yet cautiously. Winter brings with it a different rhythm. The cold seeps into your bones in the water and mud. The alligator takes refuge in its burrows dug into the bank. It enters a state of torpor. Its breathing slows and its heart rate decreases. It remains almost motionless for weeks. Even if part of the swamp is covered with surface ice, the alligator survives beneath it. Metabolic processes slow down until they almost stop. Months of patience until the heat returns. The young grow up under the watchful eye of their mothers. The adults patrol territories marked by scent and the subtle marks of their claws in the mud. Social hierarchies exist. Larger males dominate the best sunbathing spots, the most select hunting grounds, and the highest riverbanks for nesting. The conflicts are brief but brutal, with teeth bared and tails lashing. Hunting remains a constant. Birds and mammals are its most visible prey, but the caiman is also a scavenger. It captures floating carcasses. Its jaws crush, roll, and consume them. Muscles and bones feed life beneath the surface. Small fish, invertebrates, and even microorganisms benefit. Cascades of sunlight dot the swamp at midday. Alligators glide silently below, barely creating a ripple. The world above is filled with chirping insects, croaking frogs, and the occasional splash of a leaping fish. Here, the senses of an alligator predominate. Vision is sharp in low light conditions. The ears are attuned to the most subtle vibrations. Taste buds detect chemical signals in water. Even in near darkness, he is conscious. As night falls, the fog curls over the water. The caiman moves slowly through the canals. The occasional chitterlings of its hatchlings echo among the tangled roots of the cypress trees. The predator rests intermittently, floating, its eyes above water. The swamp teems with life, death, and survival. In this gloomy world, the alligator reigns without haste, miles away, across the oceans, the old world, under the soft, filtered light of a summer morning in East Asia. A sense of calm prevails. In the dense bamboo forests of eastern China, in the tranquil confines of the Korean rice paddies, in the shaded gardens near the ancient Japanese temples, a shadow lurks among the green stems and curly leaves. The Chinese mantis, Tenodera sinensis, is an ambush predator perfected over centuries of monsoon cycles and changing seasons. Its triangular head rotates with astonishing precision, and its compound eyes scan for the slightest sign of life. The antennae contract, spiral legs, its elongated body, tinged with green and beige, blends perfectly with the reeds, bamboo, and late summer shrubs. A butterfly flutters by, scattering the sunlight in fleeting flashes of color. The mantis tilts its head, slowly and deliberately. Compound eyes narrow their focus. The raptor's forelegs rise, pointed and ready. the muscles tense like drawn bows. In an instant, in barely 50 milliseconds, the forelegs snap shut. The hooks pierce the delicate wings. The butterfly flaps violently, but the grip is ironclad. The mantis adjusts its grip, opening its jaws with a mechanical calm. Bite by bite, the flapping fades to silence. Its daily life follows a rhythm of patience and precision. For hours, the mantis remains motionless, its limbs carefully folded against its body. Occasionally it sways, mimicking the gentle sway of bamboo in the breeze. Grooming interrupts wakefulness. Antennae retracted through tiny mandibles. Clean front legs for the next blow. Grasshoppers in the rice paddies, wandering spiders, unsuspecting flies fall prey to the attack. All succumb to the same swift strike. The larvae hatch from foamy oothecae that attach to stems and branches during winter frosts. When the temperate forests of China and Korea warm up in early spring, the outer layer cracks. A larger female waits at the top of a bamboo stalk. The male approaches with extreme caution, his antennae scanning the air for signs of hunger or agitation. If luck and timing are right, he mounts the female and copulation begins, but hunger quickly changes the situation. If the female senses an opportunity, or does it simply require protein? The front legs extend forcefully. The male is devoured even during mating. It's brutal, but completely natural. Seasonal cycles shape life on a grand scale. When insect populations surge in late spring, the female secretes her foamy ootheca, coating hundreds of eggs with a protective layer. It hardens quickly in humid air, clinging to the bamboo, willow twigs, or the stems of flowering bushes in temple courtyards. Inside, the eggs withstand monsoon rains, hurricane-force winds, and the dry, golden calm of autumn. With the arrival of spring and the warmth that permeates the air, life awakens. The nymphs emerge from the shell and disperse among the foliage, beginning the same ancient rhythm. The world around them is full of dangers. Birds hover above the bamboo, alert to any movement. Lizards scurry along the stone walls of the gardens. Frogs lurk among the rice paddies. Even spiders in their silken webs pose a silent threat. The praying mantis survives thanks to its vigilance. Freeze, notice, decide. Its camouflage is armor. His stillness is a shield. Wrong shift, an inappropriate balance. A shadow cast at the worst possible moment. All of this could mean death. In bamboo forests, mantises align their bodies with the vertical stalks. In Korean rice paddies, they perch on the edges of broad leaves, waiting for grasshoppers to jump out. In the shrubbery of Japanese gardens, they crouch near flowers, ready for pollinators. Each mantis interprets its surroundings, anglos, light, motion. Their senses are exquisitely fine-tuned. Their eyes detect the slightest changes in contrast. Their antennae perceive subtle chemical variations in the air. Their legs pick up vibrations from the branch beneath them, the soft tapping of an approaching spider, the light weight of a beetle crawling nearby. The praying mantis reacts instantly. They kick with their front paws, the jaws feed. Throughout the summer and well into autumn, the adults move among the sunlit foliage and cool shadows, hunting with relentless precision. They glide along high branches or camouflage themselves among low bushes, always taking advantage of the niche their habitat offers. Then winter comes. The adults die when temperatures drop, leaving only their egg cases. Life takes refuge in the ootheca, protected until the warmth returns. The cycle begins again. The eggs hatch, the nymphs disperse. The juveniles hunt and flee, the adults stalk, feed and reproduce. Each generation faces the same ordeal of danger and hunger. Meanwhile, far to the west, there lies the magical land of Africa, and there another predator lurks in the shadows, along the winding rivers of Africa, where the sun scorches the savanna. The reeds sway in the languid heat. A shadow glides beneath the water. Its scales shimmer with olive and bronze tones, scattered with mud and seaweed. The Nile crocodile, Crocodilus niloticus, remains motionless, almost invisible, a ghost of muscle and instinct. Only the glimpse of its eyes and nostrils above the surface betrays its presence. The river curves and the reeds tremble in the gentle breeze. However, nothing manages to exhaust the patience of this predator. Its tail curls beneath, long and powerful, like a spring about to unwind. Conical teeth, lethal in their grip, wait silently behind its closed jaws. This is the deadly twist perfected over millions of years. The crocodile doesn't chase. It waits. Each previous movement is measured. Each wave is scanned. In this predatory patient, survival and hunger are intertwined. On the other side of the sun-scorched bank, a herd of zebras approaches. Dust rises beneath the clatter of their hooves. Their legs tremble, gripped by thirst. They bend down to drink, oblivious to the eyes that follow them, their nostrils flared. The crocodile stirs slightly. Time slows down. The herd drinks. The tail whips once, then twice. Without warning, the water explodes. The zebras scatter, their hooves scraping the mud and water. The crocodile clings to a hind leg, twisting, turning, executing the death-defying turn with mechanical precision. The water turns to foam. The zebra, struggling to free itself, is dragged underwater. But not all hunts are successful. The gazelles leap away. The impalas raise their tails and vanish. Young crocodiles test the water with timid nibbles at frogs and fish. The river teems with life, and the predator adapts. The fish scurry beneath the floating branches. The birds hesitate on the bank. A hippopotamus yawns in the distance. The dry season brings the animals together. Watering holes dwindle. Crocodiles converge, their bodies slick and their jaws ready to strike. When a buffalo falls, a feeding frenzy erupts. Dozens of armored creatures push and thrash about, their teeth locking, trying to seize their prey. The small fish move quickly through the chaos, pecking at the remains. Dominant males defend the best positions, asserting their size and strength with brief, brutal fights. Nesting begins in the colder months. Females excavate mounds of mud and vegetation along the banks, carefully selecting the elevation to avoid flooding and direct sunlight. The eggs are buried in clutches of 60 to 90. Each one is smooth and pale. The mothers patrol tirelessly. Eyes gleam above the nest. Jaws snap shut at the sight of monitor lizards, mongooses, or birds. The chicks chirp from underground. One by one, they emerge. The mother nudges them toward the water. Hunting remains the daily ritual. The crocodiles float in shallow eddies with only their nostrils and eyes above water. Exploration, perception. The Nile crocodile is an ambush predator, but also a strategist. It observes the tides, the river's flow, and the movement of its prey. At dusk, its eyes gleam a faint amber on the water's surface. The twilight hunt begins. Fish ripple across the surface. Frogs croak. A solitary waterbuck bends near the bank. The tail curls up. The strike is sudden. The water explodes in shock waves. Silence resumes. Among adults, cooperative behavior emerges. Groups hunt when the prey is large. Buffalo, wildebeest, or young elephants test the strength of this alliance. Several crocodiles attack simultaneously. Coordination is instinctive. Young people observe, learn, and then perfect their own technique. Crocodiles migrate along river systems, following wildebeest migrations, seasonal floods, and fish spawning. Their territories change with water levels. Dominant males patrol stretches of riverbank, marking their boundaries. The juveniles roam the canals to find feeding areas without calling for them. Despite their power and patience, threats persist. Humans encroach on their territory. Boats venture into it, nets fall into traps, and poachers seek their skins. Yet in remote rivers, the crocodiles survive. Each year they emerge from their hibernation, bask in the sun, hunt and reproduce. Life goes on, relentless, patient. Night falls. The river reflects the darkened sky, broken only by starlight and distant lightning. Eyes gleam, muscles tense beneath the surface. The crocodile floats, silent. Its pulse mirrors the river, slow, deliberate, expectant, attacking, feeding, shaping life and death. Throughout Africa, rivers are teeming with crocodiles. The water laps at the banks. The birds sing. The fish swim in circles. Every beat echoes, feeding predators and prey, sustaining the ecosystem. Each day is a sequence of observation, synchronization, and precision. Each season brings migration, birth, and survival. The Nile crocodile waits, attacks, survives, teaches, and recycles energy throughout its world. To the southeast, across the oceans, another continent lies, Oceania. Here, another predator is on the loose. Beneath the canopy of eucalyptus and acacia trees in southeastern Australia, a secret awaits. Sunlight filters through the upper leaves, scattered across the ground with shifting patterns of gold and green. However, here in the cold and dark land, silence reigns. The Australian funnel web spider hides in its vertical burrow, a cylinder of silk and earth crowned by a circular door. Pebbles, leaves, and grains of earth are intricately interwoven into the silk. perfectly concealing the entrance. To the casual observer, it is nothing more than another piece of forest soil. However, behind this trapdoor, a predator awaits. The spider rests right on the threshold. Its legs press against the earth. Its fine, sensory hairs alert to the slightest vibrations. Every step above, every whisper of the wind through the leaves is transmitted through the soil. Instinct awakens. An ant scurries near the entrance. A beetle ventures through a root. Vibrations ripple through the burrow. Muscles tense. The trapdoor opens. A shadow is cast outward. Fangs close on the unsuspecting insect. In an instant, the prey is dragged into the darkness, hidden from view. They can go days without food. The spider remains motionless, sensing the slightest tremor in the sky. When its prey arrives, its speed is explosive. A sudden burst of energy shatters the calm. The ambush is precise. The prey never sees it coming. Even larger insects are captured. They are led through a silk-lined tunnel to a private dining room. The trapdoor is both armor and weapon. Birds, lizards, and larger predatory spiders prowl above, oblivious to the hidden hunter. Silk hinges allow for instant closure, shutting the door with an almost imperceptible whisper. Occasionally, ants, frogs, or small wandering mammals stir up the soil. However, the trapdoor spider remains impenetrable. Male spiders are wanderers. For much of their lives, they roam the leaf litter, their flattened bodies gliding across the forest floor, legs outstretched, searching for female vibrations. Each journey is fraught with danger. Birds, parasitic wasps, and rival spiders patrol these terrains. Many males perish before finding a mate. Those that are successful cautiously approach the female's burrow. After mating, the males usually die or are eaten. The females remain, waiting for the next vibration that signals an opportunity. The burrows can last for decades. Some last for 20 years or more, continually repaired and reinforced. The soil changes, roots grow, leaves fall, but the spider maintains its entrance, adapting its silk and soil to the forest floor. Stability is crucial. Generational continuity depends on safe, undisturbed habitats. If the forest floor is disturbed, entire networks of burrows collapse. Daily life unfolds in silence. When not hunting, the spider rests with its legs pressed against the walls of its tunnel, alert to any movement on the surface. Occasionally it burrows deeper to regulate humidity or temperature. Soil conditions determine its activity. Extreme heat or drought induces prolonged dormancy. Even in stillness, consciousness is absolute. Each pulse, each vibration, it contains information about food, threats, or opportunities. Vibrations alert the spider to insects moving among the leaves, fallen debris or soil. The attack is instantaneous. Legs propel themselves forward, fangs penetrate, and venom immobilizes the prey. The victim is dragged back to the burrow and consumed safely, far from its competitors. Even the largest prey are subdued effortlessly. The spider's microhabitat determines its existence. Burrows are usually near areas with insect activity, under rocks or next to decaying logs. Location is crucial. However, position alone is not enough. Timing and reaction speed are equally essential. A poorly calculated blow or a door that is lifted too late allows the prey to escape. Females reproduce by laying oothecae, egg capsules carefully placed inside the burrow. The eggs remain protected by silk and hatch in sync with the seasonal abundance of insects. The nymphs are miniature replicas, vulnerable but driven by the instinct to burrow and hunt. Many succumb to ants, birds, or larger spiders. Survival selects the most patient, accurate, and resilient, thus perpetuating the lineage. Environmental stability is key. Forest disturbances or human activity can destroy entire burrow networks. In intact habitats, generations persist, united by the same soil and vegetation. Their silent presence sustains a microcosm of predation, nutrient cycling, and ecosystem balance. In moments of silence, the spider listens. A faint vibration ripples through the earth. Instinct awakens, muscles tense. The trapdoor swings open. In a single motion it opens. The fangs sink in. The prey is caught. Darkness swallows the prize. The trapdoor slams shut. Silence returns. The forest floor regains its deceptive calm. Every day is a waiting game. Each season is a cycle of survival. Each generation reflects the power of patience and predation. Not far from there, a similar predator reigns in the water. Rivers, seas. It is not affected by salinity, where rivers meet the sea, where estuaries shimmer under the tropical sun, wait in silence. The saltwater crocodile, Crocodilus porosus, glides beneath the surface of the water. Its scales gleam bronze and olive, armor designed to withstand blows and bites. Its eyes and nostrils protrude from the surface like watchtowers. Every muscle is tense. The currents ripple through the estuary. The fish disperse without noticing. The crabs scurry along the roots of the mangroves. A water buffalo approaches, its hooves churning the mud. The crocodile senses every vibration. The slightest changes in water pressure send signals to hypersensitive receptors in its jaws. It knows the size, speed, and distance of each prey animal. Patience is their weapon. It remains motionless, blending in with the floating vegetation and the sunlit ripples. Then the moment arrives. The muscles in its tail throb. An explosive acceleration propels the crocodile forward. The water erupts. Its enormous jaws close on the buffalo's flank. The deathly turn begins, tearing at flesh and bone. The water is churning, mud whirlpools. The screams tear through the damp air. Other nearby crocodiles sense the opportunity. They pounce on the prey, tearing the remains apart with their jaws. Fish join the fray, feeding on the scraps of meat. Saltwater crocodiles are generalist predators. Juveniles feed primarily on fish, crustaceans, and small mammals. Adults face sharks, wild boars, and occasionally unsuspecting humans. A shark passes through the mouth of the estuary. The crocodile senses the subtle change in pressure. It lunges, closing its jaws around the shark's flippers. The thrashing tail and thrashing create a whirlpool of destruction. Momentum is everything. Once caught, the prey cannot escape. His daily routine is both relentless and methodical. Crocodiles bask in the sun to regulate their temperature, submerging themselves in the water to slowly digest their food. They patrol their territories with commanding gazes, their bodies low and their nostrils protruding above the water's surface. They challenge their rivals with low growls, the echoes of which reverberate for meters across the still water. Conflicts rarely escalate to lethal combat. Intimidation is enough. Their eyes constantly scan, observing both prey and potential threats. The estuary is both a corridor and a hunting ground. The mangroves provide shelter, the sandbanks a sunny place to bask. Crocodiles float silently under the moon, searching for nocturnal prey. Passage of schools of fish, the birds land without noticing. Not even the strongest tide can break their patience. Adults drift with the currents through archipelagos, dispersing out to sea for hundreds of kilometers. Saltwater crocodiles are exceptional navigators, guided by chemical signals, currents, and temperature gradients. Some travel between river mouths and coastal reefs. They follow the trail of prey or the distant scent of a mate. The monsoon rains arrive, lashing the landscape, flooding the riverbanks, disrupting the rhythm of life. It is time. A female emerges, her powerful limbs forcing their way through the soft earth. She chooses a high bank, safe from the rising waters, and begins to dig. Its claws scrape the sand and mud, forming a mound. Every movement is deliberate, precise. With each shovelful, it conceals the precious future within. Between 60 and 90 soft-shelled, pearly and fragile eggs lie in the hollow, hidden beneath layers of sand. She covers them carefully, hiding their presence from prying eyes. Jackals, monitor lizards, birds of prey. They are all threats. The vigilance is constant. It patrols the mound, stirring the water if any threat approaches, baring its teeth in warning. Even the slightest disturbance elicits a hiss, a warning click, a promise of protection. The days turn into weeks. The rain pours down and the river rises, but the mother stays. Her body protects the mound. She shifts position, rearranges the sand, ensuring the delicate nest remains safe, warm and moist. The world is a constant danger. Night falls. The first cracks appear in the shells, tiny fissures along the edges. The hatchlings writhe, their bodies slippery and trembling. They respond to their mother's low, guttural calls. One by one they break free, gliding out into the world. The journey is dangerous. Tiny eyes blink in the moonlight, pouring at the wet sand. Predators stalk, herons, monitor lizards, and even their own siblings. Only the fastest and luckiest survive. Water sparkles ahead, a silvery trail reflecting the moon. The mother guides them, gently pushing them and vocalizing. That is, until each one reaches the relative safety of the river. They disperse with instinctive urgency, driven by hunger, fear, and the need to explore. The currents sweep them away, carrying some downstream, while others cling to the bank. The mother watches from the shadows. At dawn, the riverbanks fall silent once more. The eggs have vanished, the hatchlings have scattered, and the mother slips back into the dark depths. Yet her vigilance remains. She will return to patrol, hunt, and reproduce once more. Life repeats itself endlessly along these waterways. Youngsters are extraordinarily adaptable. They cling to the roots of mangroves where they find refuge, hunting small fish and crustaceans. With wide, unblinking eyes, they await any movement in the shallow waters. Their tiny pincers twitch. They strike swiftly and retreat before their larger competitors can react. The estuarine killer is not only a predator, but also an ecosystem engineer. Nutrients from dams are redistributed through the water. The corpses feed fish, birds, and scavengers. Crocodiles can remove fallen trees and vegetation, altering channels and sandbanks. Their feeding and patrolling patterns influence the distribution of both their prey and their competitors, maintaining the balance in the estuarine ecosystem. As night falls, the river comes alive with new challenges. The currents shift, the tides rise, and bioluminescent plankton pulses in the shallows. Crocodiles glide through the darkness, sensing ripples imperceptible to other eyes. They hunt nocturnal fish, crabs, and even seabirds that feed in the glowing waters. Silence reigns, interrupted only by splashing and the occasional calls of the males during mating season. Social encounters are infrequent but important. Dominant males establish territories along the best areas of the estuary. Courtship songs vibrate in the water. Females respond with subtle gestures and synchronized movements that indicate their readiness to mate. Fertilization occurs silently beneath the surface. The young inherit instincts. Currents carry them to feeding grounds, and the cycle repeats. Despite their size and ferocity, humans remain the only constant threat. Boats disturb patrolled waters. Nets entangle them. Fishing pressure decimates prey species. However, in remote estuaries, crocodiles survive. Their longevity allows them to witness decades of change. Adults reach up to 7 meters in length and weigh more than a ton. Rainfall causes rivers to overflow. Prey movements change. Crocodiles migrate, hunt, and reproduce according to these natural rhythms. From ambush to deadly turn of events, from sunbathing to patrolling, every movement is precise. Back in the New World, another ambush predator dominates the skies. In the deep stillness of the night, when the wind barely breathes, a shadow slips between the trees. Easy, silent, invisible, eyes wide open, amber, without blinking, scan the darkening world with surgical precision. The great horned owl, Bubo virginianus, is a nocturnal predator. Its plumage, mottled with greys, browns, and creams, blends perfectly with the bark of the trees and the shadows, a living camouflage perfected over millennia. The feathers have soft fringes that cancel out even the slightest whisper of the air. Here in the stillness of twilight, stealth is essential. Its facial disc is a perfect satellite, capturing even the faintest whisper, the slightest movement. Its asymmetrical ears triangulate the sound with pinpoint accuracy. Below, a vole scampers through the leaf litter. Tiny claws scrape the earth. Muscles tense, gaze fixes, the owl sways slightly, alert to the slightest change in scent or sound. Its talons, curved steel daggers, grip the branch, ready to leap. Suddenly, the owl launches itself, its wings spread, gliding like smoke. Not a feather stirs. Not a single sound betrays their movement. The vole freezes, oblivious to the predator stalking it. With the grace of a falling leaf, the owl swoops down, talons outstretched. The impact is instantaneous. The prey is caught, crushed, and its life is extinguished in a flash. The owl folds its wings and soars back up into the trees. Its hooked beak tears or swallows. Throughout the night, this ritual repeats itself. Rabbits, mice, skunks, and even squirrels, the owl seizes every opportunity. Sometimes it catches small birds in flight as they perch on shaded branches. Every capture is precise. The predator approaches from the windward side. It glides through silent corridors. Attack at the perfect moment. Energy is conserved during gliding. The strike is working, as the owl spends much of the night perched in its roost. From high vantage points, it watches over a territory spanning several square kilometers. Territorial patrols are as vital as hunting. Each hoot echoes in the darkness, a grave and resounding warning to its rivals. The responses are usually immediate. Others take flight silently, retreating from the boundaries defined by scent, sound, and shadow. Territory guarantees them access to prey, nesting sites, and mates. Their nocturnal rounds, repeated throughout the seasons, are maps etched in their instincts that guide the owl from tree to tree. Nesting represents a different dimension of strategy. In the silent heart of the forest, where moonlight filters through the branches in fine silver glimmers, the great horned owl chooses a place for its future. It doesn't build its own home. Instead, it claims what others have left behind. Old falcon nests, abandoned crow platforms, even the steep cracks carved into the cliff walls. The nest is chosen for its height, its hiding place, and its dominance of the surrounding darkness. Once chosen, the place is transformed by the presence of the female. She becomes larger, heavier, and more imposing. Her silhouette fills the nest as she settles on her eggs. Its feathers bristle against the cold. The male vanishes into the night, a silent hunter driven by duty. His task is relentless. Night after night he returns with his prey, pausing only long enough to deliver it before melting back into the darkness. His defense is ferocious. Few creatures dare to challenge the assertion of an owl. However, the forest is full of hungry mouths and wandering opportunists. A raccoon clambering up a tree trunk, a fox prowling at the base of the cliff, even a curious human who gets too close. All receive the same reaction. The air explodes in a flapping of wings. A shadow descends from above with terrifying precision. Sharp, dagger-like claws slice through the air with an unmistakable warning. A high-pitched primal hiss echoes, conveying a clear message: stay away. The nest may be borrowed, but its defenders are unwavering. Even the male joins the attack, diving down and scaring off the intruders. No predator takes a great horned owl chick lightly. Most don't even try twice. Within this fortress of aggression and shadows, the chicks begin their strange and fragile lives. They are born featherless, pale and blinking, their voices faint in the vastness of the forest. The mother protects them under her wings. Their warmth is the only barrier between them and the cold. As the days turn into weeks, soft feathers sprout. Their eyes sharpen. Their world remains limited to the nest and the ever-changing silhouettes of their parents returning with food. Mice hanging from the peaks. Rabbits clinging on with claws. Sometimes even the black and white shape of a skunk. Night becomes their teacher. The forest is a labyrinth of shadows and echoes, and the parents take full advantage of it. Soft hooting guides the chicks as they begin to climb the branches near the nest, unsteady and uncertain. Later, a few gentle nudges make them flutter from perch to perch. Their wings tremble as they learn the delicate balance between flight and fall. Instinct sharpens, muscles strengthen. Their first true flight is clumsy, brief, but transformative. Soon they follow the adults through the trees, learning to interpret the rustling of the leaves, the prey darting about under the undergrowth, the meaning of each sound carried by the wind. And then, one night, classes end. Young owls take flight from the branches and do not return. Seasonal changes influence hunting behavior. In summer, rodents predominate: mice, voles, and rats, which are abundant under the vegetation during the warmer months. In winter, rabbits become more important, as their larger size provides them with the necessary calories to survive the harsh nights. Opportunistic feeding also occurs. Frogs, snakes, and even the occasional insect supplement their diet when their main prey is scarce. Predation is not without risks. While few dare to challenge the great horned owl, other larger birds of prey may harass it, and the chicks are vulnerable to raccoons or snakes. Nighttime storms make hunting difficult. The wind whips at the wings. The rain masks even the faintest sounds. Even an experienced hunter can fail, coming down empty-handed. However, each night their persistence pays off. The owls return year after year to the territories they established when they were young. Their connection to the place, the availability of prey and their mates is enduring. Courtship involves demonstrations, hoots, wings outstretched, ritualized aerial maneuvers. This culminates in mating and egg-laying in late winter or early spring. Incubation lasts approximately 1 month. The chicks leave the nest between 2 and 3 months of age, mastering flight and hunting by late summer. Generational knowledge is passed on instinctively. Observation reveals subtle social behaviors. Pairs typically maintain shared hunting territories. Synchronized hunting can occur, especially during periods of high prey availability. Vocal communication is complex. Low-frequency calls propagate across the valleys, conveying information about status, location, and intent. The silent glides through open clearings are only interrupted by hoots when necessary. The adaptations go beyond hunting. The wing structure allows it to fly silently through dense trees. Its eyes, optimized for night vision, detect even the slightest movements. The dense plumage contributes to thermoregulation. During cold spells, the feathers fluff up to trap air and conserve heat. Fat reserves provide energy during periods of scarcity. Every anatomical feature, every nuance of behavior has evolved to survive in the demanding nocturnal environment. In the darkness of the forest, the owl influences its prey populations, indirectly shaping the vegetation by controlling rodents. Owl pellets, regurgitated remains of bones and fur, provide nutrients to soil microbes. The insects that feed on the owl pellets complete a small but crucial cycle of ecological interaction. At dawn, the owl takes refuge in the dense canopy of a tree or in a hollow, its wings folded and eyes half closed. The forest grows still. Rodents emerge from their burrows. Sunlight twinkles on the leaves. The night hunter becomes an observer, preparing for the coming darkness. Now we must return to Australia, beneath the sun-dappled waters of the Great Barrier Reef, where coral towers rise like ancient citadels. The currents whisper through labyrinths of living stone. A silent killer awaits. Among the broken coral debris, scattered limestone shelves, accumulations of shifting sand near the outer slopes of Lizard Island Reef. A rough, warty shape lies motionless, indistinguishable from the rubble. The stonefish, Sinancea verrucosa, is the invisible landmine of the reef. Its mottled skin with muddy browns, rusty oranges, and pale creams makes it almost indistinguishable from coral debris. To the untrained eye, it's nothing more than an irregular rock. However, every fiber of his body is prepared for an outburst of violence. For hours it remains motionless, limbs outstretched, eyes barely visible atop its flattened head. Tiny ridges on its skin mimic coral formations. Its lateral line detects every movement in the water, every shadow of a passing fish. It is a delicate channel that detects vibrations and pressure changes. Small reef fish and crustaceans approach, unaware of the danger lurking beneath the surface. Suddenly, they attack. The stonefish's mouth opens in the blink of an eye, creating a suction vortex that draws in its prey. Shrimp, small wrasse, or juvenile parrotfish are swallowed whole. The attack is brutal and precise, leaving no possible escape. The fish's venomous dorsal spines, folded against its back, remain dormant until a threat approaches. Accidental contact triggers an acute injection that releases neurotoxins capable of paralyzing larger predators or an unsuspecting diver. The thorns arch like miniature daggers, ready, lethal. Between attacks, the stonefish remains motionless, conserving energy. Its metabolism is slow, a product of evolutionary efficiency. The reef is rich, but every July counts when survival depends on ambush and stealth. The currents bring plankton and tiny larvae within their reach. The tides carry small fish across their hunting grounds, and every change in the water's movement offers them a chance to feed. The stonefish is not a social hunter. There is no courtship dance beneath the waves, no territorial call. Life is quiet and hidden. Feeding activity follows tidal patterns, increasing with high tide, which brings in the reef's microfauna. Moonlight triggers reproductive events. The small, transparent eggs and sperm are carried by the current and join with thousands of others to perpetuate the species. Spawning is as simple as release and dispersal. Juvenile stonefish are a bit more mobile, moving among coral crevices, rocky outcrops, and sandy channels. Their camouflage is less perfect and their spines smaller, but the principle is the same: hide, wait, strike. Each day brings new challenges. Small predatory fish, such as wrasses or groupers, may try to probe for weak spots. A poorly calculated blow can be fatal. Only stealth and caution guarantee survival to adulthood. When the potency of the venom and perfect camouflage reduce threats to virtually zero, adults settle in preferred hunting grounds, rubble areas, depressions under rocky overhangs, and areas where currents channel their prey. They can stay here for weeks, months, or even years. Movement is minimal, largely limited to small shifts following sand deposition or reef growth. Some individuals have been recorded living for more than 2 decades. Their slow metabolism and protective habitat ensure their longevity in a dangerous ecosystem. Predation on the stonefish is rare, although not impossible. Some sharks, rays, and large triggerfish have learned to flip or carefully pierce them, avoiding the spines. Sea snakes circumvent the venom, taking advantage of moments when stonefish misjudge their exposure. These encounters are dramatic in their subtlety. A shadow approaches. The stonefish remains motionless. They thrive in nutrient-rich reef systems with high spatial competition. Each attack provides a sudden boost of calories, but between meals, they remain still. Their bodies, perfectly adapted to blend in with the coral and debris, are an undetectable fortress. Although the reef pulsates with movement, the stonefish is almost undetectable. Throughout the year, the stonefish's cycles intertwine with the rhythm of the reef. Seasonal currents bring pulses of food, temperature changes trigger subtle behavioral adjustments, and moonlight ignites reproductive dispersal. The eggs travel great distances, transported along invisible routes through reef systems. The larvae grow, settle, and begin the long apprenticeship of stillness, camouflage, and explosive action. The rhythm of life continues: attack, digest, and wait. Human observers sometimes stumble upon the stonefish, unwittingly stepping into its camouflage. The experience can only be described as unbearable. In the changing light of dawn, the stonefish fade from view beneath the sunlit ripples. Fish swarm above. The currents stir the plankton. The reef awakens. But underneath, the landmine remains, silent, patient, and deadly. The next ambush predator is located on the other side of the world. Once again, we must travel to the new world. Beneath the mirrored surface of the Amazon's vast waterways, a shadow moves. Dark green scales ripple beneath floating leaves and tangled roots. The anaconda, Eunectes marinus, moves almost invisibly. Its thick, muscular body glides through the water with silent determination. Only its nostrils and slightly raised eyes betray its presence, scanning the banks for movement, for the slightest disturbance among the reeds. For hours it remains submerged, undisturbed. Its body remains curled up under the water and vegetation. The warm water carries scents and vibrations. Capybaras graze nearby. A heron wades cautiously, searching for fish. The anaconda senses every ripple. A slight movement of its nostrils, a slight flick of its tongue, and it knows what prey is within reach. Then, a sudden movement. The muscular coils uncoil with terrifying speed. A capybara's tail twitches. A bird flutters. But it's too late. The anaconda strikes, opening its jaws wide, seizing flesh with backward curving teeth. The coils twist around the body like living bands of steel. The fight doesn't last long. The limbs thrash, the claws claw, but the constriction intensifies. The lungs collapse, circulation slows. The victim sinks below the surface, its gasping movements fading into absolute silence. When resistance ceases, the anaconda begins the slow process of swallowing it whole, head tilt, jaw extended over its prey, teeth sliding over fur or feathers. Between meals, the anaconda floats, its eyes barely above the water, its tongue lolling out, savoring the chemical cues of its surroundings. It drifts with the currents, often taking refuge among submerged logs or clumps of aquatic vegetation. The prey is plentiful, but the effort is minimal. Occasionally, they catch an unsuspecting fish, turtle, or bird, which they swallow whole. Young specimens inhabit shallow tributaries and dense flooded forests. Their small size allows them to move through labyrinths of roots and reeds. Young anacondas feed on fish, frogs, and small birds. Survival is tough. Predation by larger snakes, alligators, and birds of prey is a constant threat. Adults dominate the waterways. With few natural predators, their size and strength make them apex predators. Occasionally, jaguars or caimans attempt to attack them, but the anaconda's large size and aquatic agility usually deter confrontation. His life is slow: hunt, digest, rest, drift. Days or even weeks can pass between meals. Seasonal cycles govern large-scale movements. During the rainy season, rivers rise, forests flood, and the anaconda disperses into the newly submerged habitats. The dense vegetation provides it with shelter for hunting and nesting. During the dry season, the animals retreat to permanent riverbeds and meandering lakes. This concentrates populations and prey. These fluctuations determine feeding opportunities, territory, and survival strategies. Reproduction is a spectacle of exceptional violence and magnitude. When females enter estrus, males detect chemical signals in the water and vegetation. Several males may converge, entangling themselves in spirals around the female. It is a slow and powerful struggle for mating. The victor manages to copulate while the others remain entwined, their muscular bodies joined together. This mating group, known as a brood ball, can last for days. Fertilization is internal. Gestation lasts several months, coinciding with the dry season. Unlike many reptiles, anacondas give birth to live young. Dozens of fully formed hatchlings emerge, wriggling in a tangle of slippery bodies, immediately capable of hunting small fish and frogs. They disperse among the reeds and submerged roots, each a miniature predator learning the pulse of the wetland. Mortality is high. Predation, hunger, and environmental hazards claim many lives, but only a small fraction survive. The anaconda's hunting technique is a marvel of biomechanics. Muscles along its body contract, exerting pressure that immobilizes and suffocates its prey. The ligaments of the jaw allow the mouth to open wide. This means that the snake can swallow prey much larger than its head. The aquatic environment facilitates ambush. The water muffles sound, masks vibrations, and conceals the snake's size. Ripples among the reeds or the occasional shadow often go unnoticed until it's too late. Predatory acts are terribly efficient. A wading bird can explore a shallow channel. An anaconda attacks with explosive speed, its jaws closing around the leg or neck, coiling the bird and then dragging it under floating vegetation. In murky water, an alligator's head emerges from the surface. The anaconda moves silently, adjusting its position, attacking with calculated pressure. Often it retreats until the predator is distracted or momentarily vulnerable, at which point it seizes its opportunity. The anaconda plays a subtle role in wetland ecology. By controlling populations of capybaras, caimans, and weak or old birds, it maintains population balance. Some specimens grow to over 7 meters in length. They weigh several hundred kilograms. Each attack is perfectly timed. The wetland is teeming with sensory stimuli: the smell of fish, the vibrations of mammals, the subtle whisper of birds. Everything guides the anaconda, a patient apex predator in a flooded labyrinth. At dusk, the shadow of the green anaconda glides beneath the reflected light. The water sparkles over the speckled scales. Small fish scatter in its wake. Capybaras pause at the riverbank, sensing danger. The snake's eyes blink, its nostrils flare slightly, and the wetland holds its breath. Hours may pass without it moving, but the possibility of violence is ever present. Meanwhile, the Siberian forest remains covered in snow. This is a frozen cathedral of pines and birches. The wind whispers through the skeletal branches. The cold muffles the steps. The world seems to be silent. However, beneath the white blanket, life stirs, hidden, deliberate. A shadow moves patiently. Stripes ripple over muscular flanks. The Siberian tiger, Panthera tigris altaica, glides through the snowy forest. Their enormous paws distribute their weight over the frost and powder snow, leaving footprints that vanish almost as soon as they are formed. Amber and luminous eyes. Ears that move, the forest says. The tiger slithers through the thick undergrowth, its whiskers brushing against the branches. Deer, elk, and wild boar, oblivious to its presence, graze in the clearings. The tiger's stripes break up its silhouette, allowing it to blend into the shadows of the tree trunks and fallen logs. It freezes. The muscles curl beneath the golden fur, taut as steel springs. The tail moves imperceptibly, balancing silent steps. Suddenly, a fleeting movement, a reddish elk calf emerges from the undergrowth. The tiger shifts slightly, its paws slipping in the snow, its ears alert to the slightest sound. It advances inch by inch. Each gust of wind confirms its direction. He stops, he crouches down, he barely moves, and then in an instant it explodes. Muscles tense, claws extend, teeth point to the throat, snow splashes in clouds, limbs thrash violently, and the ambush is complete. A scream of panic, then silence, broken only by the gentle winter breeze. The diet is methodical. The tiger drags its prey into the thick undergrowth away from scavengers. Its teeth tear, its jaws crush, its powerful neck muscles sever tendons and bones. For hours it feeds, pausing occasionally to survey the forest. His senses never rest. Every crackle of a twig, each sudden gust, every trace of carrion, all of this is striking. During the day it may retreat to a hidden lair to rest. Nights are for moving, exploring, and patrolling. The pups learn the forest by playing and imitating. They roll in snowdrifts, stalk through the shadows, and chase each other, learning the rhythms of ambush and patience. His mother watches. These 2 years of training forge hunters capable of covering hundreds of square kilometers when operating independently. The skills are elemental: stealth, timing, explosive power, and perfect coordination of body and senses. Territorial behavior defines broader patterns. A male tiger marks trees with urine and scratches, patrolling territories that can stretch for tens of kilometers. The size of his territory varies depending on the density of prey. In winter, when deer congregate near frozen riverbanks, territories shrink. Then, the encounters with rivals become tense, grunt displays. Tail movements scare away intruders. Solitary except during mating, the Siberian tiger relies on silence and stealth to maintain its dominance over its territory. Seasonal rhythms dictate its movements. The harsh winter demands energy conservation. Snowdrifts make hunting difficult. However, there are dams present, wild boar rooting under the frozen leaves, moose scratching scabby lichen. Spring thaws the frozen streams, dispersing herbivores across the territory. Hunting patterns adapt accordingly. Summer brings dense vegetation and long days. The tiger takes advantage of the midday shadows to stalk its prey, playing with the dappled light and wind patterns. A wild boar rooting too close activates muscle memory. The tiger waits. It observes, calculating angles, trajectory, and possible escape routes. When it attacks, the ground trembles beneath its massive paws, its teeth find vulnerable flesh. Limbs buckle under its constricting jaws. The struggle is brief. The scavengers follow them silently. Foxes, crows, opportunistic wolves, each one waiting for the scraps that fall from the tiger's prey. By eliminating the weak, the sick, and the old, these tigers maintain the health of their prey populations. By scattering the carcasses throughout the forest, they provide food for scavengers and nutrients for the soil and vegetation. Winter hangs over the forest like a heavy, impenetrable blanket. Males and females only meet when the season demands it. There is no ostentation or boisterous challenge. The courtship unfolds in small, intimate gestures, soft snorts that float in the cold air, faint scent marks on tree trunks, delicate nudges of heads exchanged under the shade of ancient pines. For a moment, these solitary giants tolerate each other. Copulation is quick. When the meeting ends, they separate. With the thawing and subsequent freezing of the snow, the female's body changes. After a gestation period of about 104 days, it seeks a safe place beneath the enormous roots of a fallen cedar. The burrow must be protected from the wind, the cold of the northern night, and the scavengers that roam these forests. Here, in a haven of peace beneath the snow, life begins. The cubs arrive blind, tiny, unable to stand, their fur barely thick enough to keep them warm. She curls up around them. Every sound from outside, every rustle of the forest puts her on alert, but she remains motionless, nursing and grooming. In a few weeks, their eyes open to the dim, filtered light of the lair. The world that awaits them is hostile, but here they learn the gentle beginnings of life. Rough play, clumsy leaps, the first instincts sharpening. However, the forest shows no mercy. Juvenile mortality is high. Wolves prowl in coordinated packs. Other tigers patrol overlapping territories, ready to eliminate the competition. Hunger and disease stalk the young with the same relentlessness as predators. For every cub that survives, several disappear into the silence of the tiger. Only the swift, the cautious, the lucky ones survive. They learn vigilance first, then stealth. At 2 years of age, the survivors become independent hunters. They move among snowfields and cross frozen rivers with sure and fluid strides. Daily routines merge with the seasonal cycles. Dawn patrols, midday rests, dusk hunts, and moonlit movements form a rhythm punctuated by bursts of violence. These patterns persist over decades. Siberian tigers can live between 15 and 20 years in the wild. At dusk, when the sun dips behind the snow-capped peaks, the shadows lengthen. The tiger pauses atop a ridge, nostrils flared and ears alert to any sign. It senses its prey. The hunt begins again, meanwhile beneath the sun-dappled leaf litter of an Australian forest. The forest floor is silent. The shadows of the swaying branches play on the ground. In this stillness, a triangular head disappears under brown and gold remains. The scales shimmer faintly in the flashes of sunlight. It is a subtle mosaic of ochre and ash. This is the death adder, Acanthopus antarcticus, a predator that has perfected the art of camouflage over millions of years. Its body remains curled up beneath the leaves, motionless, invisible to any gaze. Only the tip of its tail moves. It is the irresistible imitation of a writhing worm, a small, tempting movement in a still world. The hours pass in silence. The forest hums with unnoticed activity. Beetles scurry among the twigs. Skinks bask in the sun on the heated rocks. Every vibration of the earth is registered by the snake's heat-sensitive pits and finely tuned nerves. The viper of death awaits. Its triangular head, broad and flat, is perfectly camouflaged, concealing its eyes and jaws. It is a living trap, coiled around invisible springs of muscle and tendon. Then the movement occurs. A skink lunges near the tip of the tail, which twists and turns. The viper of death reacts. In the blink of an eye, the jaws strike. The teeth pierce the flesh. The venom flows, swift and lethal. The prey convulses, struggles, and falls. The snake uncoils, swallowing with a slow, deliberate rhythm, its body gliding over scales and earth. Nothing disturbs his concentration. The death adder does not actively hunt. Movement exposes it to predators and wastes energy. Instead, it relies on stealth, patience, and precise timing. Lizards, small mammals, birds, or any creature small enough to be overpowered are potential prey. Its impact is explosive. Between these bursts of violence, the viper remains motionless, breathing minimally and conserving energy. Temperature also influences its behavior. During the coldest hours, the snake stays buried, coiled under fallen leaves and bark. As the sun warms the forest floor, the muscles become more sensitive. The viper has an impeccable sense of rhythm. It moves when its prey is vulnerable, attacks when distance and trajectory are perfectly aligned, and then retreats into stillness. The forest heats up under the weight of summer, and sunlight filters through the treetops in a shifting gold. The heat stirs up the leaf litter, awakening a hidden world beneath the trees. It is here, in this soft bed of decay and shadows, that the males begin to move. Pheromones float in the air, faint, delicate, but unmistakable. Somewhere ahead, a receptive female waits. Courtship among these snakes is an intimate dance. When the man finds her, he approaches cautiously. Their bodies brush against each other. At first, gently, tentatively, sizing each other up. Then they begin to curl, slowly intertwining in a silent spiral. His tail aligns with hers, their muscles moving with deliberate precision. No struggling, no aggressive fight. For hours they remain like this. Then, as gently as it began, the encounter ends. The man slips away. What remains of the female is the future of the forest floor. Weeks go by. The rains are falling. In hidden chambers beneath logs, roots, and stones, life takes shape. When the time is right, the female finds a hollow under a decaying stump, protected from predators and the elements. There she gives birth, not to eggs, but to live young. 20 tiny snakes emerge, each one perfect in miniature. Their scales gleam, their tongues flick in the air. They receive no more parental care than the protection their mother provided during gestation. She departs silently, having fulfilled her purpose. The hatchlings are left alone within minutes of birth. However, they are far from defenseless. The juveniles glide through the leaf litter, camouflaging themselves with its spots. They bury themselves under thin layers of debris, leaving only the tip of their tail exposed. That tail contracts, twitches, dances. Their movements mimic the contortions of a worm or an insect. The little birds perch on the upper branches, curious. The small lizards approach stealthily, their eyes fixed on the tempting movement. And then, in an instant, the tiny snake strikes. Each day molds them. Each successful attack strengthens the rhythm of their hunting style. Hours of stillness teach them patience. Scares teach us to have a good eye for the opportune moment. However, predation is only half the challenge. Death adders must avoid becoming prey. Birds of prey, monitor lizards and other snakes patrol the forest, alert to any movement. Their eyes catch the glint of scales or the slightest change in the leaves. Here, the adder's camouflage is its only option for survival. He remains motionless, to blend in with the environment. Only then will he be able to hold out until the next meal. When that food arrives, everything must be calculated. One wrong move, a misguided measure, and the opportunity is lost. Death adders change their ambush sites with the seasons, depending on prey density, sun exposure, and the availability of shelter. Each snake, independent and solitary, meticulously observes its surroundings. Its venom serves as both attack and defense. The cocktail of neurotoxins acts with terrifying speed. Immobilize the prey before the struggle endangers the viper. It also deters predators. A single bite can be fatal, teaching the wary inhabitants of the forest to stay away from this stealthy hunter. At dawn and dusk, the forest comes alive with great potential. Small mammals forage for food, birds flit about. Death's head vipers remain completely motionless, moving their tails with their eyes hidden and their jaws ready. By reducing the populations of their prey, they ensure healthier populations and maintain balance in the intricate web of life. As the sun rises, the heat warms the leaf litter, and the day progresses. The death's head lizard may shift slightly, coil more tightly, or flick its tail. His body remains motionless. In wetlands, forests, deserts, and hidden underground chambers, the world's deadliest hunters are often the ones we never see. Ambush predators thrive in this silent realm of shadows and stillness, shaping ecosystems with subtlety. They wait, they listen. They only attack when the moment is perfect. From the alligator that floats beneath the mirrored surface of a swamp, to the praying mantis that sways like a leaf in the breeze, to the spider in the sealed trapdoor beneath its earthen lid. Each one reveals a strategy perfected over millions of years. Their lives are based on the delicate mathematics of energy and opportunity. Every ambush is a calculation. Every attack is a gamble that can determine their survival for another day. Some conserve energy for months of drought or cold. Others resort to camouflage. Each predator, in its own environment and under its own sky, demonstrates that evolution favors not only speed or strength, but also opportunity. These creatures maintain the balance, regulating populations that would otherwise spiral out of control. They sculpt the rhythms of their habitats. They ensure that energy flows from one life to another in the most efficient way. Now we know what lies behind that calm. Eyes, coils, jaws, claws, fangs. The predator lies in wait.